Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Last week we did 101 to 91, and we also produced a video of Greg Dixon from the Hooked on Geek podcast. He was debunking my 101 top games of all time, where he heard about which ones they were, and he was just poking holes in it. And so now, today we're going to do the next 10. It's going to be numbers 90 through 81. Here we go. All right, we're going to start this off with number 90. This is Bumuntu. This is from WizKids game. This game is sort of an abstract-ish game with a fluctuating market. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Bumuntu is a set collection and abstract strategy game for 2 to 5 players where you're going to be using 8 of these 10 different animals each game. Over the course of the game, you're going to be moving your pawn from a tile you're on to any other tile and collecting the tile you're on for that set collection, but each animal works differently. Depending on which animal you left, you'll move differently. Like the chimpanzee allows you to move diagonal as far as you want. Some animals like the tarantula allow you to affect the board, like moving a tile of your choice into any empty square. And other tiles allow you to affect other players, like moving them away from where you landed, and some of them allow you to affect the market, moving up or down the animal that you want to be worth more at the end of the game. Because at the end, you're going to score points for having the first or second most of any of these animals, depending on these specific scores, and sometimes just straight up points. You'll also be collecting masks, which are going to be set collection for points at the end, and as well as crosses, which will give you a certain amount of points if you have most or second most. So it's a game of set collection and majorities. I love this game. It is just absolutely fantastic. I thought this one should have been nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. It's so fun because you're using those different animals and they all move differently. And you're using that in sort of an abstract manner to get the things you want, to get the tiles you want. You're going for set collection. You're going for set collection on not only the animals, but then also you're trying to get set collection on a couple of other long-term goals, but you're also trying to get sort of food that will allow you to give you more flexibility when moving, and you're also trying to get things that allow you to manipulate the market. It's like, oh, I got a bunch of spiders. I'm going to put them behind my shield. I know I'm in the lead. I'm going to force spiders up and make them more valuable. It's just got a lot of things that I really love. Fluctuating markets I love, and abstract sort of moving I love. And the fact that you don't play with every animal every game, and so every game's going to feel a little bit different with the combinations. Some of them are more take-thatty and more tacky, some of them are less. This game just offers so much in variability, so much, and it plays in like 30 to 45 minutes. Like, it's pretty quick, but you feel like you've played a much bigger game when you're done. And that fluctuating market is so cool. Set collection, hidden things going on. You're trying to remember who has how many behind their shields. Great game, Bumuntu. All right, number 89 is a re-implementation of a game that was originally called Heartland, about farming, but this one, it's set in Asia. This one is called Gunky Mono. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Gunky Mono is a tile laying game for 2 to 5 players, so you'll be laying tiles on a board and choosing between points now or moving up tracks, which will give you more points later. When going for points now, you'll get points for each of the adjacent areas of that type that you've helped build. And if you're going up tracks, you can use however many icons are here to go up. You can also use single tiles to help score things, or you can use them to help lift yourself up to get to the level needed to make your tile level. And once your honor gets high enough so all of your honor tracks are equal to one of your strongholds, you'll be placing it in an area that you'll be able to score once each round, so people are going to be trying to cut off your stronghold. And if you race up the tracks and you're the first one to get there, you'll get the most randomized points, and this goes down the later and later you get there. You also get to see which tiles are coming up next that you can select from and watch what other people take, which helps in the strategy. And it's a quick game played in under an hour that has lots of depth but simple rules. Yeah, I was very excited about this because I kind of talked Renegade Game Studios into reprinting this and brought this to them and said, look, the original's sold out. It's not being reprinted. You guys should reprint this. It's amazing. I love this game. It's got sort of that abstract aspect of playing tiles on top of other players' tiles and trying to get a bunch of points. But then other players, you're also setting up other players. And at some point, someone's going to want to cut that party off and stop all those points from coming. And when you play a tile, you're trying, do I do it for long-term points? Or do I set myself up, give up those points now to move up these different tracks? Because once I get far enough, I can put my stronghold down there, then every turn I'm gonna be scoring for those. So there's a lot of like short-term versus long-term gains you gotta figure out. And then once you have a stronghold, everyone's trying to cut yours off. It's a very mean sort of abstract game, but it's beautiful, it's awesome. It's got simple mechanisms, but tons and tons and tons of depth. And every game's gonna play out differently. It's such a great package between what do I do now versus what am I thinking about in the future and how am I setting up other players. Tough decisions on every turn here, Gunky Mono. Number 88 is a party game that I think goes up to 11 players, and I believe I've maxed that out. This is called Panic on Wall Street. Unfortunately, it's out of print now. Talk about games that make memories. I still remember playing the 11-player game with this on my patio at like 2 in the morning one Friday night, and my neighbors were not too happy with us because in this game, it's Panic on Wall Street. Half of the players are money managers, the other half of them are buying stocks, and you have a timed, I forget, 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, and players are free for all, like in pit in Wall Street, yelling and screaming about how much they want to buy that for, how much are you selling it for, oh, this guy's giving me this for over here, can you do this over here? And it's like a bunch of people yelling and screaming at once. It's pretty crazy, but it's so fun. And so if you're the stock buyers, you're trying to buy low and sell high. And if you're the money managers, you're trying to just get people to buy your stuff because you're setting the prices. And it's amazing because you have two different sides, two different things that are going on. And at the end of that craziness, you're gonna roll some dice and the different types of stocks are gonna move up or down. And some of them are, you know when you're buying these, that some of them are very stable and some of them are very swingy. And so things are gonna go up and down and you know, you're gonna either make money or lose money with stocks. You gotta pay off the money manager as well. They help, you know, that you buy the stock from. It's just a fantastic auction game. I really hope that somebody would bring this back. Please, somebody, Panic on Wall Street. All right, number 87 is an older game. I think it came out in 79, but it was implemented by Restoration Games. I think, in fact, this was the first game they ever came out with and started their company around was Stop Thief. So let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Stop Thief is a family-level 2 to 4 player deduction game where you're trying to get the most money by catching thieves. An app helps run the thief around to different places, giving you clues about where they are. Investigators will be playing movement cards and moving different spots, sometimes through windows with special abilities. They'll be trying to arrest the thief using the app. They'll also be getting private tips through the app. Different thieves are worth different amounts, and they all have different abilities which hinder or help you whether you catch them or whether you don't. You might hear outdoor sounds and run yourself from the subway to the other side of the board to try to catch the thief. And after playing your movement cards, certain ones allow you to pick up all your cards in your hand to reuse the cards you'd like. Which investigator are you going to choose? Because they all play a little bit differently. In my earlier video, I talked about Clue, the Great Museum Caper, and this is another older game, even before that had sort of hidden movement. And I love this about it, and the game is fantastic because in this new version, they use cards instead of dice rolls. So you've got a lot more strategy going on. And hidden movement's awesome anyway, but the fact that this new version has competitive mode, cooperative mode, and one versus many mode, and it's app driven, it's absolutely amazing. In fact, I think I even like the cooperative mode best in this game. It's awesome. And there's actually different characters that you use, different things that you use in the cooperative mode, but essentially a burglar is breaking in and everyone's trying to hear their footsteps and you're hearing sounds. It's like, you know, those sounds are just so awesome. It's like, did he go there? Did they go there? Did he break a window? Did he go through a subway? And you're tactically using your cards, knowing when to use the right cards at the right time to get the thieves. This game is fantastic, and the multiple modes is what really put it on this list, Stop Thief. All right, number 86 is probably one of the heaviest games on this entire list. This is a worker placement game called Pulsar 2849. This is from CGE, Czech's Game Edition, and this is from Vladimir Suchi, who's done things like Praga, Kaput Praga Regni, and some other heavy games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of this. Pulsar 2849 is a dice drafting strategy game for 2 to 4 players when as you draft dice, stronger is better, but the weaker ones will give you different bonuses and allow you to move up in turn order. You'll be spending those dice to get points in all different ways, like going through different planetary systems, exploring them, and maybe even getting some bonuses if you landed right on it. You'll also be able to claim different pulsars. You'll be able to construct different gyrodynes, and then you'll be able to activate those, which will spin and get you points every single round for the rest of the game. You can also rush to be the first to get a certain amount of those for the big bonus points up front. But don't worry, there's different ways to be able to mitigate the dice and change them to what you like. You'll also be able to patent different technologies. Some give you immediate abilities, some give you different points and things every round, and some of them are for end game bonuses. It also acts as a round tracker to the end. Don't forget about the randomized end game goals, which can score you huge points at the end of the game. Yeah, this game is a little bit of a bear to set up, and it's definitely a bear to teach, but once you dig in and you get into this game, the plethora of choices that you have and the tough choices you have just are overwhelming in a good way, where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? Do you want to just fly around to a bunch of planets and get a bunch of things there and get the tiles? Do you want to go after those satellites, sometimes giving you extra turns and using the right ones? And that's sort of like a puzzle. But then when you go different ways, you're playing with the turn order. And if you're down too far, they're going to be losing points every turn. It's just like, oh, there's so much in this game. And it doesn't come out, honestly, as often as I wish I would like, because it is such a bear to kind of remember how to play, and it's a tough teach. But once you get going, if you know this game well, and once you get going, it's so satisfying, this game. There's so many tough choices, so many different ways to go, so many variability in the play and the tiles and everything. And obviously just changing what other players do are going to change what you do. This game is definitely, from a heavier games perspective, one of my favorites, Pulsar 2849. Number 85 is a trick-taking game from Charlie Bink called Pups. I'm a dog lover. This is for dog lovers. Here's a one-minute overview of how this plays. Pups is a trick-taking game for 2 to 6 players where you'll be bidding on how many tricks you think you'll take, at least a certain amount or an exact amount for more treats. There is a random trump in each trick in this game. It's the alpha dog, and that dog's suit is trump. You must follow suit when you can in this trick-taking game, but if you can't follow suit and you have the highest trump, you'll win the trick. There's also a mutt suit that will be thrown with one of your other cards and now adds to the card that you've thrown. If you make your bid, you get bones for treats. If you did not make your bid, they go upside down as poos, negative points. However, in later rounds when I'm bidding, I can bid with those negative poos to try to turn them into good treats. Now you're often going to see on this list a lot of card games, because I love card games. I love trick-taking games, and this is one of them. This is a fantastic trick-taking game. It might even be my second favorite trick-taking game of all time, possibly. It's just so brilliant. And the best part about this, other than the cute art and the dogs and things like that, is the fact that when you bid for something, if you lose, it's negative points, but you get a chance to rebid that and then turn that negative into a positive, and that always feels good. I'm very sad that this game, Charlie doesn't have any plans to reprint this, and I wish he would. Someone else wants to try to talk him into it. It's a fantastic sort of, it is a very welcoming gateway game, but there is a little bit more going on there once, with the bidding and such, but it's so good. It's just, gamers love it, non-gamers love it, and I just wish it would get reprinted. Fantastic tricking game that's, you're gonna have to find it on the secondary market, unfortunately. Pups. Number 84 is a game that came out in recent years. This is a push your luck style game with an 80s classic look. You'd think this thing came out in the 80s by looking at the box and the cover and things. Here's a one-minute overview of how this works. Push is a push your luck game for 2 to 6 players where you'll be trying to gather cards of different colors in front of you, adding them all at the end to try to have the most points. Each round, the active player is going to be taking cards off the top and adding them to one of 3 different piles, trying to get the most points for them if they can, but you have to be careful because there's only one of each color in each pile and only one of each number. So right now, if I had pulled another 6 or a blue, it has nowhere to go and you would bust. You have to find the right time to stop. And when you do stop, you get the first choice, and then other players in clockwise order will take and put the cards in front of them. And over the course of the game, you're putting cards in front of you, trying to gather yourself temporary points, but you gotta be extra careful now, because if you bust now because the green can't go anywhere because it's already there, you don't get anything. Everyone else gets to choose, but you have to roll the die. And whatever color you roll, you lose all of those points, so watch out. However, you can, for your turn, bank cards and make them safe, but you don't get to draw cards from the deck that turn. You're also coming up with dice cards that are forcing players that when they take this pile, they have to roll and possibly lose cards as well. Yeah, Push is fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite games under $15 to recommend to anybody. This is a fantastic push your luck game. You're rolling dice. Actually, you're trying to not roll dice, but you're forcing players to roll dice to screw them up and to make them lose their colors. And it's like you're playing these cards and you're pushing your luck, and every time you always, in most push your luck games, you need to try to push your luck. But in this one, for some reason, you just are motivated to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you can't get the same number or you can't get the same color, but yet you still want to get as many different things as you possibly can and put them there. And then it's them, hey, do I want to bank this and save it? I'm getting pretty high. And then you get that thing where like someone takes a turn and puts 2 cards up, takes something, and you get nothing, and you got to roll a die. You're like, that's when this game's fun, is you're just totally screwing the other players, making them roll dice, laughing at them when they lose all their cards. It is a simple game. It is a fun game. It's one of the best push your luck fillers out there. Push. All right, number 83 is a trivia game called America. Now, this is based off of the system that came out in Fauna, which was about animals from Freedom and Freeze. This one was from Bezier Games as well. Let's take a look at a 1-minute overview of America. Let's see it. America is a trivia game for 2 to 6 players where you don't need to know the answer, you just need to guess closely or follow the person you think knows best. Each round, a category will come up, and there'll be certain questions about the year, the state, and a general number of a specific category. Players will begin placing their markers in clockwise order, selecting either the year, state, or number, and people will be trying to get close, or maybe it'll be next to people that are close, or they can bet that nobody knows it or nobody's even close. Once everyone's either passed or run out of markers, we find out who scores. Correct answers get 7 points, adjacency to correct answers get 3 points, and if you get them right, you get these markers back. If not, they go off the board and you lose them. But have no fear, because at the end of each round, everyone gets one of their lost markers back, and you always get to start with a minimum of 3. The board gets cleared after every round, and after 6 rounds of questions, whoever's in the lead is the winner. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite trivia game of all time, because you don't need to know the answer for sure, you just gotta be close. Kind of like sort of wits and wagers in that regard. But this is more of like, you'll do better if you know things, but you just gotta be close. And I love the aspect of like, there's a year and you're trying to be closest, you know, and then there's the geography and you're trying to be closest. Then there's just like a random number that could be something different on every card. And the wealth of knowledge in this game is so different too. Some of it's pop culture, some of it's movies, some of it's this, some of it's that. Again, if you're not in America, the trivia is probably not going to be that interesting to you. Some of it will be, some of it won't be. But if you are in America, this game is fantastic. Unfortunately, I think this one is out of print as well. They may still have copies for sale, but I don't think this one's going to get reprinted or in any expansions or anything like that. It didn't do as well as I had hoped because I wanted more content. But this is one of those trivia games that I've never seen go wrong. And it plays well with gamers because there's a gamer aspect of to how many cubes do you want to bet on. You're pushing your luck a little bit because if you're wrong, you're going to be losing those, right? You always get 3, I think, total at the beginning of a round. But the more you guess, if you're wrong, you lose it. And so you're pressing your luck there as well. So it has a gamer aspect to how you bid and how you guess for things. But it's very easy for anybody to get into America. This next one at 82 is a fantastic quick card bluffing game that unfortunately is out of print. This is Mamus with that awesome purple mammoth looking thing. In this game, it's all about bluffing, where you're playing down some cards and you're basically saying how many you have of those. And then the next player plays some cards and they have to say how many they have of those too, and it has to be the same animal. But it's like a pyramid deck. There's like 2 bears and 3 of these and 4 of these, all the way up to a lot of something, right? So if you play a card that has a 7 on it, you know that there's 7 of those in the deck. And if someone said, I'm playing 3 7s, and someone said, I'm playing 3 7s, the next one goes, I'm playing 3 7s, somebody's lying. Who is it? And when it's your turn, you got to challenge them or not. When you challenge them, you flip over a card and you see if you win or you lose the challenge. Now the crux of this game, the reason why it's so fun is that you can be bluffing and someone can call you on your bluff and you might still get away with it because they might just pull one of the cards that you put. So it's like, hey, I have 3 antelopes or whatever it is. And I put 3 cards down there and one of them's an antelope. And I'm like shaking on my knees and that person flips it up and goes, it's an antelope. You're like, see, I told you. And you're like, whew. Stuff like that. This is one of the best quick bluffing games out there, Mamus. The last one in this video, number 81. This is a 2-player card game based on an older game called Balloon Cup. This one is called Pinata. This is, again, a 2-player mano a mano, and you're basically trying to get as many medals as possible. And you're playing cards on your turn. It's very simple, play a card, draw a card. And on this, you're playing cards to a specific spot. And on that spot, you're trying to have either the most, meaning the highest total value of cards, or the lowest, depending on which direction the arrow is pointing, up for highest, down for lowest. But each card has a certain amount of candies, 1 for the 1 card, all the way up to 4 for the 4 cards. And that's how many cards you're going to be playing, each player on each side before it scores. So on the 4 number, let's say it's pink, pink, green, green. You're going to end up playing 2 pink cards and 2 green cards, but so is your opponent. So you're playing that. If the number's up, you're going to be wanting to have high green cards and high pink cards. But there's 4 things going on. So it's almost like you're playing 4 mini games at once. And the timing of when you play these cards is just amazing. And once you finish your side, you can then start playing cards to screw up your player on the other side of that. This game is all about hand management, when to play things, the timing of it, fighting over different things. It is awesome. It is one of the best quick 30-minute card games out there. Pinata. All right, well, there was 90 to 81. I hope you enjoyed this. Next week, not only are we gonna have a new video with 10 more, but we're also gonna have Greg Dixon on to debunk this list and tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why he's surprised something's on there, or to say why something is so much better than it is here. And we're gonna have some fun banter there, so check in for that. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games, and helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.